Grace and peace. Namaste and all that good loving. Salute to everybody. This is midweek check-in. This midweek check-in is going to be a special midweek check-in, as the topic was mental healthness awareness. So I have some things I want to go over with you guys. I'm not going to be really doing cards today, but I will be pulling from my wisdom. But if anybody in the chat wants to do a quick yes or no, reading for themselves, that's fine. Also know that my website is booked. It's opened for anybody wanting personal readings. So the calendar is wide open. Salute. My brother Rich is in the building. Yes, a great person that I would love to have stick around into this topic. So we're talking about mental illness today, mental health. Because when I do the midweek check-in, the word check-in is that you're checking in on somebody. You're checking in with the status of things, places, or people. My Lotus is in the building. Yay, my Lotus bomb. So, this conversation may be sensitive and touchy to some people, as I am talking about mental health. We loosely use the word, somebody's being crazy, somebody's acting a fool, this person's insane, they're mad, but we also, sometimes we use that as a slur or a term derogatory towards another person. It's not like we really mean any harm to it, but some people, especially nowadays, there's this big I've got some meditation music in the background, y'all, because YouTube and how they do. So I will turn it down just a little bit. It sets the mood anyway, because if we have mental health issues, we need some things that are calming. We don't need things that are triggering our mood and stuff, right? So I wanted to briefly discuss yesterday in New York City, Brooklyn to be exact. There was a big headline, and I'm not sure. I know my brother Rich checked in to see if me and my family were good yesterday. So salute to him. Thank you very much. And we are. My daughter was nowhere near that area, but she did have to commute into Manhattan. And so New York City is comprised of 5 boroughs, kind of all grouped together, latching onto a main land, which is Manhattan, and they kind of all have bridges to go into different boroughs. The Bronx is the only, little history lesson. The Bronx is the only borough that's attached to the actual land, to America. If those other boroughs, for some reason, some fluke of nature, were kind of like brought under by water, or, we have a similar fault line as the San Andreas, equivalent to an earthquake fault line here is equivalent to the one out in California. So if we were ever to get rocked with a big earthquake, New York City half of it would definitely be underwater. So this particular incident happened in the borough of Brooklyn. That's south of Manhattan, okay, southeast of Manhattan. And this particular area is heavily flooded with the Asian Korean people, as well as Hispanics. So your Mexicans, your Dominicans are living out there. It happened roughly about a little after 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in New York City, in Brooklyn to be exact. So my daughter has to travel from the Bronx into Manhattan, but she was already in school when she heard that that there was a shooting. So my husband and I jotted down to pick her up immediately right after school, because all the subway services, all the bus services were all very limited. It was going to be very hard for her to get back home by train or by bus. So Maybach's in the building. Salute, grand rising to you as well. So, ooh, my beauty queen is here. All right, good. And I want you guys to, chime in and feedback. I'm not doing this on a StreamYard, but today's conversation is going to be about mental illness, mental health, mental awareness. Because while I do these midweek check-ins and I do the general reading for health, right? And I do it for wealth and finance and romance. I do incorporate mental health as well, because I always feel if your mental health is not really checked in on, your physical health is you're going to be bugging out. Somebody who has very severe mental issues, they don't wash, their hygiene is not up to par, right? They don't smell themselves. So they have this bad body odor. All right. So you can tell that somebody's going through some type of, even if they're kind of put together, you know that there's some type of mental disturbance going on with them. They could still have, they're not the best cleanliness of taking care of themselves. So why I brought this situation that happened yesterday, who apparently they have this melanated, obese man on the lookout now. So they don't have him as a specific gunman. And they're not saying it's a terrorist attack, which I don't think it is either. But we don't know if he was targeting a specific group of people, or if this was he knew what he was doing, because for somebody to go into a crowded, around that time, they said it wasn't that crowded, but for somebody to walk into a train and go into the actual subway car and throw one of these grenades that can let off smoke and then shoot, it's almost like you were targeting somebody, or this was a kind of a personal attack. You were waiting, you knew somebody's train route, you knew what time they were getting on the train. So, it's definitely not a terrorist attack in the sense of a foreign terrorist, but this is a terrorist attack in the sense of, lives have been injured. There were children, young teenagers, everybody's going to school, everybody's going to work at that time of the morning. So I'm not sure if this person, we can call him deranged. All right. So, a whole bunch of things going on here. I'm also going to just read the Disclaimer Act. Okay. And there is an article that I've used, a couple of articles. So if you ever want to go ahead and read some of these, the Mayo Clinic is where I got some information from. I also got from psychology.com and Psychology Today, and psychiatry.org. I'm also going to be reading the 1993 LRR shooting on the Long Island Expressway with a similar story. So stay tuned, guys. Again, I'm not going to be doing the readings per se, because I felt led to talk about this, because I feel like this is something that's brewing not only just with this particular situation, but it's brewing around us, right? The past 2 years when we were in lockdown, some of us couldn't handle it. We saw a lot of divorce rates going up. We saw, domestic violence happening. We saw, child abuse. We just saw a lot of people getting fed up and getting annoyed because they're all clustered in together, right? They had no outings. So I'm a big advocate with mental health. I myself have had some situations with mental health, depression. Also know that this does fall into certain people's bloodlines and certain people's DNA. All right. We also want to understand that if we're taking some type of narcotic, alcohol, weed, whatever it is, cocaine, these inhibit and enhance your mental illness, LSDs. So it's not advisable if you are taking medication for your mental illness that you then go ahead and snort some coke. That's not advisable. All right. I also have a disclaimer that I am not a medical professional. I am not a therapist. I am not a guidance counselor or any of that above and beyond. Okay. So with that, ooh, Fresh Breezy, my big bros in the building, salute. All right. Is this the same area where Sunset Park is? Yes, Rich, it is. It is. So it was the Sunset Park train station. And as I said, that area is very heavy with the Asian community. There's a lot of Koreans in that area. And you can even see in the footage a lot of young kids coming out, stumbling outside of the train subway car because of the gas, and they were children there. Ooh, Lady Dorita's in the building. Hola, mamacita. Buenos dias. People unfortunately self-medicate themselves. Correct. So hold on to your comments for a second. Also, you can ask me questions. And side note, guys, if you do want a little mini reading today, because I'm not going to be doing a reading per se. I will be using a wisdom deck to end out our conversation. But at the end of this conversation, if you do want to have, I will offer a yes or no reading. And that's really quick, so we don't have to stay on too long. But and also note that I do personal readings, so you can hit up my Lotus Bomb, my moderator extraordinaire, and she can help you with that information. But if you really want to have a little mini reading here today, that's fine. It's going to be more of a yes or no question. It could be a yes or no in regards to anything. Am I getting a new car? Is he coming back home to me? Will I be, taking a trip? Stuff like that. Okay. But I want to get with something serious for right now. Then we can take it a little lighthearted. For those readings, there is a donation towards that, whatever the donation is as you feel. Also, if you're feeling this content and it resonates with you and it's making sense, you can drop in a little something in the donation bucket. All right. So with that being said, let me read the Fair Use Disclaimer Act. All right. And I hope you guys could hear me. I think I have my volume on very low. So sorry, forgive me. Okay. So fair use disclaimer, copyright under section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of the fair use. Okay. So let's get on with the get on. Hold on. All right. Jay Savage is in the building. Salute. Emperor Voodoo is in here. Peace, peace, peace. Say hello to the good guys. So silly. My beauty queen, I did see her. Yeah, right. Where's Lady Lorita been hanging out at? I know. The weather's getting good now, so. Oh, geez. Oh, yeah. Get better, Lady Lorita. Yeah. I know you heard it all, what to take and stuff like that, but definitely sea moss, vitamin C. Disclaimer: I'm not a medical doctor and stuff, but herbal things could help you. Okay, Raz Girl, it's called diagnosis. Yes. Okay, so I'm just reading off of you guys' comments real quick before I get into it. All right, so we also had a situation here in New York City, 1993, was a shooting. Let me get this article. It's from Fox 5. Hold on. I had it saved, and I don't know what happened. Ugh. Because I was doing my homework last night. I wanted to be diligent. Dot my I's and cross my T's. So this happened in 1993. It was also in the morning, wee hours in the morning. A man shot and killed on the LIRR. That's the train that's still linked with the New York City subway system, but they are out on the Long Island Sound. So New York is weird. It's a weird spot, but Long Island is like a offshoot to New York City. It's about maybe 30 minutes away, but it's still considered in the New York City area. We don't really call Long Island. We don't really care about Long Island, us New York City people. Just like we don't care about nobody upstate. No shots, but it is what it is. All right. Suffolk County Police identified the victim as Yusuf Stain, 20 years old, of West Babylon. Cops said Stain was traveling with another man who pulled out a gun and shot in a stopped train at the Roanoke Long Island Railroad. So that area was heavily, and it still is, indigenous. So this is why you hear some of the names. Most of New York City and upstate definitely has a lot of, because that's the loqua. I'm pronouncing the names, but that's where us natives is up there hanging out in the burbs and on Long Island. So these names will sound very reminiscent of the natives. So anyway, this happened on Long Island Railroad Station about 1:45 a.m. So such as this happened yesterday morning, wasn't that crowded, but people were coming home from work around this time. All right, so this detective, Lieutenant Kevin Bayer, said he'd like to stress that this is not a random event, that the shooter and the victim appear to have been traveling together, and they appear to have known each other. When you travel a lot with on the same route, you kind of develop some type of a dialogue or friendship per se with people that you ride the trains with or you ride the bus with. Whether he knew him or not is it's kind of irrelevant. All right. So the MTA official told Fox 5 News that it appeared to be a targeted shooting. All right. The circumstances of the shooting were not immediately clear. The gunman got away and was not in custody. Same thing in this situation. This man, who happens to be a black man, heavy set, around his 30s, hasn't been found. They now have photo IDs running around of who they think is this gunman, but he's not in custody. All right. I'm going to finish reading this article. I'm not going to read all of it. Okay. The train was scheduled to leave at 1:45 a.m. Few people were on the train at the time of the shooting, which happened in the fourth car, and no one else was injured. Okay, it was believed to be the first fatal shooting on a LIRR since 1993 incident when passenger Colin Ferguson, this is the shooter's name, began firing at other passengers, killing 6 and wounding 19. Here in this modern time, there were about 19 people that have been injured with the gunshots. Okay, service on that line has been disrupted, but railroad officials say normal service later resumed on the line. So I'm going to bring up one more other incident. This is not involving a car. This is not involving a subway shooting. Okay, and this is involving, you might have heard it. Some of you may be a little too young to remember. this story. Some of you might have been a little too young to remember the 1993 Ferguson shooting in New York. So let me just get this really quickly. Let's see. Read a few snippets from here. So the source that I'm getting this from is from the FBI file. This is official website of the United States government. I just happened to get on that, right? This shooting, if you might have remembered, happened in 1990. So I want to take you back in a time machine, family, because things are very reminiscent right now in Manhattan, in New York City, period, of a time zone that was like a 1990s, late 1980s into a 1990s. And it was war zones. It was, it was war within the boroughs and countrywide. So here's another story that happened in October 24th. Excuse me, not in 1990. The car was a 1990 Chevy Caprice. Okay, so some of you might remember him as the DC sniper. All right. 10 people have been randomly gunned down and 3 critically injured while going about their everyday lives, mowing their lawn, pumping gas, shopping, reading a book. Among the victims was one of their very own, an FBI intelligence analyst, Linda Franklin, who was failed by a single bullet while leaving her home improvement store in Virginia. Okay, hold on. So they have a timeline here starting from October 2nd. A man kills crossing the street. The next day, 5 more were murdered. A 13-year-old boy was wounded October 7th. A man was murdered on October 9th while pumping gas. A bus driver who was the final victim, October 22nd. Now, if memory serves me correctly, because I'm trying to read what his motives were. He had Jersey plates. Remember, he had his son with him as well, who I don't think was his biological son. I think it was like his stepson or whatever. I'm just trying to get to, because I heard the word postal. But anyway, if I can't find it, I'm not going to keep looking. I don't want to take my time any more away from you guys because I can't see you. So... Right, nobody suspects. Yeah, that was crazy. The DC sniper. He was in a heavy Chevy. So is unity with some people, Brother Rich, because I don't really want to get down with everybody like that. Roxy Moon trying to unite them. You see that, right? Oh, I wish I had the Zoom, the thing there, so y'all can see what he's talking about. So leave it up to Jade Savage. Yes, it's the suburbs, not NYC. I'm just reading your comment. I had to take a pause because you guys are killing it. Yeah, and it was right loaded. Jade, and I receive you humbly in a cloud of purple haze. But you know what? That smoke that happened down there in the train station was actually like a pinkish color, pink in hue. So yes, I'm doing the unity. But the red is for your root chakra and the blue is for your throat chakra. So I'm combining my chakras because I'm staying, I'm coming with the passion, and I got to get what I need to say out truthfully, correct, most positively, with no bias. And I'm not trying to, throw anybody under the bus. We're talking about mental illness. Mental health is wealth. But why I brought those articles up, because some people use the term postal. I'm going to go postal, or he went postal on them. And it came from, and I'm not sure if it was coined from this DC sniper, but there was a situation where there was a post office worker who was disgruntled, or I think they let him go, something to that effect. They fired him. He came back in with a shotgun, and he fired off at his co-workers. So that term is where that comes from, going postal. There's other things here that I wrote down. I just, I'm the professor today. The spirit told me to come on down and come do this real quick. So mental illness is as common as 1 in 5 adults. So that's about 19% of adults have it, and it can start at an early age, or it can come about in later adult years. Again, I'm sourcing my information from the Mayo Clinic, Psychology Today, and Psychiatry Today, psychiatry.org. All right. When I took a psychology class, I only took it for like a year because it wasn't my major, but you have to have psychology and sociology if you're going to be taking classes, whatever, because I was going into health. So because of that, I needed to have that under my belt. And so adolescence is most of the time when you can see that there's this either severe mental illness or some kind of mental disorder happening right after puberty. And for boys, it's like age 18 to 21. Now, if an adult happens to have a breakdown at their age in life, chances are there was something that was a trigger for them. That this might have been laying dormant. And, either they had a PTSD from doing, coming back from the war, or a PTSD with dealing with a violent partner for so long, or, 9/11 could have been a PTSD if that person was there during that time. So what I'm saying is, if you're older and you all of a sudden start having these characteristics of mental ailments, its chances are something has triggered you. But if you're a child and you are growing up and now these things are starting to present themselves more prominently, that's because, the genes, some parents who also have mental illness will carry down in the genes. The mother will carry that through the child. So I want to just make a very big disclaimer that, I'm not here to make fun of anybody with mental illness. I'm not here to poke fun of people that are. I do know that there are, severe mental cases out there. Sometimes we'll throw the word, "Are you mental?" or "You crazy?" or, it's like saying the N-word. "Oh, my nig this," you know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to make any offense to this. I'm not making fun of it. I wanted to bring this today to have more of an awareness and embrace it, like everything else that this country is embracing. But they don't want to talk. They give us a mental health month, but then there's nothing else after that. So there's so much stuff that can cause mental health right now. I'm going to tap into a little bit of each. All right. In 2022 alone, 52.9 million people, listen to that carefully, 52.9 million people live with mental health. All right. and 24 or 4.1% have a serious mental illness. 8.5 have a diagnosable substance disorder. All right. So, yeah, I wrote a whole bunch of stuff, but I don't want to get too much. Know that the brain, while I was saying with genetics, your brain chemistry carries signals to other parts of the brain. When the neural network involving these chemicals are impaired, the function of the nerve receptors and nerve systems change, leading to depression. All right. And some mental disorders are anxiety, depression, emotional depression, bipolar, PTSD, personality disorder, schizophrenia. You could also have eating disorders such as bulimia, anorexia. All right. And as I said before, some of this mental illness or disorders can be inherited. All right. Through one bloodline or the other. And certain genes may carry an increase your risk of developing a mental disorder. Also, your environment. So it's not just only in your bloodline. King Ramon's in the building. Salute, salute, PYE. So it's not just only in your bloodline, guys. It's also the environment and it's your exposure. That's why I said I'm going to talk about what we've been seeing within the past 2 years play out. All right. And also what you eat. As Big Cat says, drink your water, eat your fruits and vegetables, health is wealth. Because also what you're eating plays a part in this, and you're exercising with some type of form of depression. I wrote here, I was tired yesterday, so let me write in there. It came out all kinds of crazies. But, it says here with eating broccoli, jogging, and mindfulness are all good things, right? They help us through many difficult times. So eating healthier, doing some type of exercises, right? It's mindful for us, and they are good for us. They help us get through difficult times in our lives and help prevent many other things. But Pamela's in the building. Salute, Pamela. Yay. They are not the solution to everything. They might mean seeing a mental professional and taking part in social psychotherapy or social therapies, right? So what I'm saying is that while you're doing all of this exercising, eating right, praying, meditating, and you just seem like this is still just not working. And I was noticing that when I was doing the live, the past couple of lives in regards to health, that some people were trying to find different ways to help get better with their, whatever health regimen that they were trying to work on. It's very well possible that that person is suffering from a mental disorder. And so it doesn't matter if they are, exercising 5 days a week. It doesn't matter if they're downing a gallon of water every day. It doesn't matter if they're outside in the sunlight. Some people just have, if it's already innate in you, it really doesn't matter what it is. Depression versus sadness. Depression is a longer coping mechanism, also has to do with the chemistry in your neurons in your brains, right? So you can get out of depression, but other illness, other serious psychomatic illnesses are a little harder. So if somebody's got schizophrenia, and sometimes that comes from a trauma as from when they were a child. So the term multiple personalities kicks in. And this is why they, they hide that little child that might have been taken advantage of, and they develop all these other alter egos, right? So that's a little bit different from depression. Depression is kind of like a mood inhibitor. Sometimes you could be saddened or feeling a little down because of the day. or some people suffer from seasonal changes in the weather where they can't cope with the winter months so much. Those are intermittent depressions. But the big boys like a schizophrenia or a bipolar or somebody who has eating disorders, anxiety, because anxiety can go in with depression, but anxiety is another mood inhibitor as well. It's kind of like if you're around certain people, you get affected more, right? So you're like real anxious and you get a little more panicky in a sense. So it can intertwine with depression and somebody who has schizophrenia and PTSD. As I said, post-traumatic syndrome, that can be arranged from anything. You could have post-traumatic syndrome because you got in a very severe bad car crash. And so now sometimes you getting in the front seat kind of triggers, right? The word that we need these words, trigger, which can cause a little anxiety. Or when 9/11 comes around and they do that anniversary, some people can have that PTSD still there, and it's traumatic for them. Absolutely, Pamela. She says hormones play a big part hormones play a big part as well, and that's very true. So especially for women, so when you hear a woman going through postpartum, first of all, so this is what I'm saying. There's a whole plethora. There's layers to this mental illness, and I'm just doing umbrella surfacing, like raindrops to the umbrella on it, because it's very layered. Again, I'm not a credential to speak about certain things. I've only sorted some sites, and also speaking from my own personal experience with dealing with depression, anxiety, some mental health issues. I also understand, though, that people who suffer from mental illness and no one can figure out what the heck is going on, like children who have ADHD, they're actually little spiritual beings. Like their soul can't contain the body. So therefore they're acting out, they're doing things impulsively. And it didn't make sense. It makes sense now for me how I was. I was always this rebellious child, but it makes sense now who I am, what I'm doing right now, why I would have behavioral problems. And they say most of the empaths or children, star seeds or indigo kids, things like that, they've always been a problem child. And I'm like, that makes sense. So I'm not trying to use it as a scapegoat. The other thing is that I don't want to, where did I write that? Because that's important as well. I wrote that in the description here, that, we need to be careful when we're saying, the devil made me do it, or I'm crazy, and or I'm insane. They plead the insanity case on a, something that they did, that, they kill somebody or, whatever, and they go to court and it's like, oh, plead the insanity case. You're not crazy. We'll go to the records and we'll show you don't got a doctor's note or a medical history that's telling us that you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You just wanted to go out there and do some killing. Premeditated. All right. So, when people say that, just be wary of them. Yesterday also was a 4-day. So it was April 13th, 2022. That was a 4-day. So peep the day. It was about structure and building and deconstructing and building. So it's going to be interesting what's going to play out, what kind of bills are going to be passed and so forth and so on. Because right now, New York City is going through this political upheaval. And it's, some of it is going through the toilet right now. And it's really not looking good for New York City. So, women, we are hormonal creatures. Men are hormonal as well. They just don't have that hormone that will take them to bearing children naturally. So, but they can get a little hormonal, especially if they are living with their woman. They can kind of get on her flow, her cycle, and they get a little bitchy. All right. Same thing with pregnancy. They can pick up pregnancy symptoms, and they're eating what the wife is eating, or their pregnant girlfriend is eating, right? And it's like, where the hell? Or they start putting on weight in their face and in their stomach. They can get that as well. Mm-hmm. Right, voodoo. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing. But sometimes you can't help, because we see things on TV, and that's a trigger. Voodoo, you silly. Yeah, feeling dehydrated. So, women go through this thing after giving birth called postpartum, where they just, their body has just housed a whole human inside of them. And that little human has hormones. And so when now they have released this little person into the world, those hormones are still inside of them. So they don't know if it's them or what. And they can be a little, tend to cry a lot, be isolated, not wanting to deal with the baby at all. There's been very severe postpartum situations where I forgot what year it was, but it was a mother. She was just having kids back to back, and she drowned all her kids. She took the oldest ones first and brought them to the bathroom so they wouldn't fight her. She got to them first and drowned them, and then she drowned all her kids, and then I believe she put them in the bed, or she took them in her car and then dumped them in the river, in the lake, and drowned them. I think this was in Florida somewhere. Y'all remember the case. It was not, maybe in the late 90s. So that's another thing. If you are not, women having that function of having multiple kids and can having them back to back is a blessing, but it's a disservice at the same time, because she was having these children. This woman was having these children. It was a Caucasian woman. She didn't have really any help but the husband, and he had to go to work. So, I'm like, either he snips it or she got to do something. You already got like 4 or 5. I think she was pregnant again. To me, the way I looked at that situation, I felt that the mother was being abused. She was being abused with the babies, not in a way of mental. And he didn't really see that she was having a problem or that she was crying out for help. And so, for him to keep having more babies, that's a form of abuse. You know that she's got a problem. Why are you having her with more children? Show. Yeah, right. I know. I was like, it's my Palo Santo. Gotta clear that air, though. You know what I'm saying? Gotta clear that air. So that's how I look at it. So with women, guys, don't get too upset. That's just what it is. They have these triggers in them. They have these hormones that they're trying to get back into shape, get their own hormones, because they shared hormones with another little person. And now they gotta, get back their own bodies. So Very good, Martha. Yeah, it's rough. I suffered one with one of my kids postpartum, was my firstborn. But then, like, you guys know I was a teenage mom, so I was just like, what in the world? But to have support system there, family or friends, people that you can really trust, that that got your back, that is what makes it